Hello everybody, I'm Dan. Welcome to my Java tutorial series. Throughout my tutorials I will teach you Java using just Notepad and the command prompt. The order in which my tutorials are organized on both my website at javacjava.com and my YouTube playlist is designed to maximize learning by building on concepts from prior tutorials. This tutorial is about access modifiers, specifically what happens when we apply the private access modifier to a method. I'm going to open up my browser here to javacjava.com, select menu, then Java OOP tutorials. I'm going to scroll down to the private method. When the private access modifier is applied to a method, the following access is granted. Full access is granted to invoke the method from within the same class. Okay, let's come down here to the source code. Control C to copy after we highlight it, or right click and select copy. I'm going to move the browser off screen here. I've got a shortcut to the command prompt on my desktop, but if you don't, you can create one by right-clicking, selecting New, Shortcut. Type in CMD, then Next, and Finish. Just that easy. Let's go ahead and type in Java C when we open up the command prompt. You should see a whole bunch of stuff scroll by. If you don't, go ahead and watch my tutorial on installing the Java Development Kit. You want to make sure you get that installed properly. Installed and configured properly before continuing. CLS to clear the screen, CD space /. CD is short for change directory, / tells it to go to the root. I'm going to make a directory using the MD command Java. I'm going to change directories to the Java folder. This is what I call my working directory, or where I create all my files, temporary files for tutorials and packages and stuff like that. I'm going to make a directory called 1. Change to the 1 folder because I'm going to have a 1 package. And I'm going to notepad class1.java. Let's go ahead and Control V to paste that in, or right click and select paste. Let's go ahead and save this. So we have 2 classes inside of this class1.java source code file. It's part of package 1. That's kind of irrelevant actually, but nonetheless. So we have a public class1. Public access modifier doesn't really matter either way. Then we have a private, since we're dealing in the same class, it could be default access or public. But now I have a method 1 inside of class 1. That's a private access modifier. Private method invoked from class 1. Can we get to this, right? Because technically a private method can only be invoked from within the same class. So we'll try some different ways to see if we can get to that. Up here in tester there, right, I also have another private tester method here, right? So we should be able to get to this method from within the same class tester. Right? Private method invoked from tester method. All right, so in the main method entry point, the first thing I'm going to do is create a new reference to an instance of the tester, a tester object, and use the dot operator to invoke its tester method. Right down here, right? So reference from within the same class. Let's go ahead and save that, compile it, and run it. Let's clear our screen. Okay, and Java 1, the 1 package, dot tester, the tester method. So private method invoked from tester method. Excellent. So we got this string literal displayed to the console using the print line. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is comment this out, and you know what I'll do is I'll just try to create a reference to the class 1. We will be able to create a reference to it, but now what will happen when we try to invoke the dot method 1 class by using a reference to it, reference to an instance of a class 1 object. Let's go ahead and save that and see what happens. We get an error, right? Method 1 has private access in class 1, so we cannot invoke this method by creating a reference to it up here and trying to invoke it, okay? Even though this is public, right, we still can't do that because this method has private access on it. All right, so the last thing we're going to try to get down here to method 1, see if we can maybe get into it, is we will try inheritance. Okay, so class tester now extends class 1, right? And we extend class 1, we basically inherit all the methods of class 1. Now does that apply to one that's marked private? Would we inherit this whole entire method here? Good question. Let's go ahead and see if we can make that happen by creating a new reference to a new instance of our tester class here, right? Tester object, and we extended class 1, and we'll see if we can invoke the .method1 class, or .method1 method, I'm sorry. So that'll be inheritance from an outside class. All right, let's go ahead and save it and see what we get. Let's clear our screen. Drum roll. Cannot find symbols. So the answer is though, even though we can create it, as you see the carrots pointing to the dot operator here, we were able to create the tester object to itself, right? No problem there. The inheritance didn't produce an error. Where it did produce an error is when the dot operator went to invoke the method1 class, and it says, I can't even find it. It's not even visible outside of class 1 here. Okay, so that's pretty much it for inheritance applied to a method, or I'm sorry, private access applied to a method. That's pretty much it for that. I'm gonna go ahead and close out of that. And I really don't have any other, one more final thought. There was just no need to test the private modifier on a method outside of a package. You know, the private modifier is really irrelevant when it comes to packages. Obviously, we're within the same package, and we couldn't even touch the other method in the class 1, the method 1 in the class 1 there. So that concludes this tutorial. Thanks for watching.